Well, hello everyone. You here to show you the fishing bet game coloring right here. As you see right here, I went ahead and drew right here, as you say, is a kind of a good example of me. If I were to be going fishing, if it's down at the Lake of the Ozarks, or if it's you say maybe here around town, whatever it is. But you have right here is a game that based on the fact about if most of us have ever placed a bet before, and a lot of times that I don't know if I would recommend to place a bet really with anybody. It's like knowing about the fact about that, yeah, if it's a fact about that what you fix it is, if you fix anything, or if it's a fact about just having fun. But on your hand too, knowing about that I remember that of course I've seen heard and people do it to where that they if they bet somebody on a touchdown on a football team, whatever it is, maybe for the Super Bowl. But so far as talking about with fishing, is it talking about is that that I'll bet you a profit. I'll bet you maybe a full line fishing pool of say of maybe like what you call of certain type of fishing bait. It is for it's like if you catch if you catch a pretty good size fish, it is. And a lot of people probably think about it is like whenever they catch a fish is knowing about what kind of fish it is. And most of us probably think about is like, yeah, the type of fish that you would normally see, more likely depending on where you be fishing at, more likely would be is like maybe the sparkle cline type fish that a lot of times it's like go ahead and draw like what you call a globe right here. So say is for the world map right here. But if it was like parts of Australia, maybe along the Pacific, maybe different parts of say any lakes around say the southeast or something like that, or that the west or north part, you say up whatever continent that be that if it would be like what you call maybe Ukraine, parts of Spain or wherever that they would have like what you call simple. It's like different types of fish it is, and knowing about that. If you were to be going fishing, it is knowing about the type of fish that you would catch. And I remember that have I ever caught a fish? Yeah. Was I able to keep it? No, I wasn't. And they probably say that you need to have a certain fishing license in order to be able to keep them, of course. And knowing about that with me is that knowing about a type of game that I came up with right here is talking about is like the type of fish that you would normally catch. It is that if most of us are familiar with that type of game, it's like what is the name of the game? Where you pick up, where you count the cherries, I guess, that come off the tree or something like that. But anyway, that the type of math problem that I would come up with, of course, would be is like usually say graph calculator is like 2 plus 2 plus 2 is like equals, as I got right here with 6. And then one thing I like, of course, about the calculator, which I did not even have this whenever I was in school. 1, it was pretty expensive, and then of course 2 that unless the teachers would ask you to get 1, so you go ahead and do 5 plus go ahead and do 6. So right there is for 11 to do 2 if you catch like 2 fish, and then maybe a group of 2 if that would be like what you call a decimal fraction. It is. But other than that is that you have right there is like where you can do like different math problems. It is I don't know, maybe about 43 math problems, all that scroll down on the screen right there. But let's just say if you were to get into groups and catch maybe a number of fish, which I'm sure that a lot of people probably think about that. The very first fish that you would probably catch, more likely that people are like, oh, what kind did you get? And it's like, yep. And then people, they want to see, because whenever I went fishing, the last time I went fishing, of course, with a few classmates that I knew from my school, was that I remember that for the first 40 minutes, I think it was, I was not even counting, but it took a while for me to catch the fish. If I had the bait on the fishing line, it took me a while to catch the fish. And then whenever I did catch the fish, that they look real tiny. The fish look real small, but then by the time you like you say untangle is like the wine. And whenever you roll up the line, it is, and to be able to pick up the fish, you're talking about a 15 to maybe the 25-pound fish. And you could probably think about that was like with the fish that they don't look all that big really. It's like with the mermaid, but more likely you probably think about if there's any such thing as what you call a mermaid, is knowing about is like a kind of mermaid that could maybe what you call be known as the guide is like knowing about that with the Little Mermaid it is. People probably think about that if you probably have maybe what you call a toy maybe a storage bid box, it's like maybe a life vest, called maybe the incredible fishing, the Incredible Mermaid or anything like that. It's like whenever you go out on a lake that they would want you to wear a life vest. It is, but knowing about about this game right here is knowing about that if you're going to play along, of course, maybe join a group or whatever. I don't know if it will be a genius idea to put a bet on something, especially a fish that you catch or whatever it is. I bet you $20 more like if he catches two of them at about the same size or something like that. But I remember that my parents and my dad or my mom or whoever would would place bets on me, and a lot of times it's knowing about sometimes it was money, or sometimes it was what you call it's like who gets to go first or something like that. But on the other hand too, that knowing about really if placing a bet is the most genius idea, and more likely that knowing about that if it's knowing about how well the position of the hook is. If you got the hook of the fishing line right here, and knowing about that if you were to have like what you call experience of knowing about exactly where you were, and then maybe knowing about the type of pounder fish that you got, and knowing about me is like that if be able to keep any type of fish, it's like are you going to keep it as a pet, or maybe what you call eat it. It's like knowing about knowing about if maybe if people, it's like unless if you're a vegetarian it is, and more likely people probably thinking, hey, there ain't nothing wrong with that really. If you're going to catch a fish, and a lot of times I usually just throw them back, because on the other hand too that I really don't know how to cook them. If I catch them, and then plus on the other hand too that people probably think about it's like really that's a waste of fish bait. It's like you catch a fish and then you let it go. But on the other hand too that knowing about that with the fish, that whenever you catch a fish it is knowing about the different types of fish that are out there, and more likely I can probably guess that they're probably about I don't know maybe at least maybe 800 different kinds of fish it is that I've seen fish, of course, around here. It is that you kind of different shapes and sizes it is, and then of course knowing about it's like knowing about the study, about how they breathe, and then of course about types of how they live underwater it is, but knowing about that that it's like knowing about it's like the study about the fish. It's like they have like what you call say the lungs right here where they take oxygen say from the water it is, but it's like if it water from the swamp is like the fish that live in swamps, and then of course ponds or whatever you call it, that more likely you could probably think about is the type of fish. The type of fish that more likely you think will be safe to eat, and then of course if you were to catch a fish it is. And knowing about it is like good, I guess it would be say other than with goldfish, is knowing about the between the cracker, the box cracker goldfish, and then of course if you were to catch a fish. And the way I think about it, that if you were to catch a fish, then more likely you'd probably think about that, then knowing about maybe just look at it, maybe get a picture or two, and maybe to let it go. But on the other hand too, that knowing about with me, it's like that I'm not that type of person who really wants to cut the head off, especially on a bird, or what you call if I were to go deer hunting, whatever it is knowing about. It's like so far as the fishing bet is knowing about that it's like don't bet on anything that that it's like that maybe lose your opportunity on knowing about, yeah, well, you owe me $20 or whatever you call it. But on the other hand, too, knowing about it's like what we would call is like it's all about, say, having fun. It's like not really about getting mad at each other and knowing about. It's like knowing about, say, what you call bringing a team together. But other than that, it's talking about it's like the fishing game. It's like fishing bet game coloring.